Hey there, it's Professor Nagel. We're going to work through exercise 21-1, update the product maintenance app from Murach C Sharp 8th edition. So, step one is just to open the app, which I have it open here, and look at the code for the product maintenance form. So click on that, F7, you can see the code. This is where the full exercise from chapter 20 left off, where we're using this data access instead of having our entity framework core code directly in here. We've got this data access class, which allows us to, in an abstract manner, find products, update products. We don't care how this happened, right? This is kind of like our customer DB class when we were opening text files or binary files. We didn't care how that was working. We just knew, hey, go get the customers. And we didn't care how that worked. That took that database layer away from the business layer. Doing the same thing here. So we've got this MMA books data access. And we can look at that. We can see that find product tries to get the product, add tries to add. This is the stuff that we're going to be working on today. All right, that was steps 1 and 2. Step 3 is to open the app config and to update the connection string. So we are using a local database, but your database might not be at this location. Again, I added the database to the project for my students, but wherever that database is, you need to update this location. So if you have your database in the project, you can right-click on it, copy full path, and then over here, we're going to delete this. So attach DB file name equals, and then semicolon between the equals and the semicolon. We're going to paste, and that's the location of your database. If your database is somewhere else, you need to put that location in here. That was step 3. Step 4 is going into MMA books data access. We need to add the code for the connection string. So this is step 4. And it says add a private read-only property named connection string. Wow, it's like it was listening to me. Private read-only connection string. Yeah, that's pretty good. Only, obviously, your connection string here, that's not accurate. What we're going to use is the configuration manager connection strings MMA books connection string. So it's going to be looking at app config, connection strings, MMA books. And I was thinking that would give me an error because, it automatically added this using system configuration. I guess when we started using configuration manager, it automatically added that. If this wasn't here, now you get an error. Just hover over that, use the light bulb, and tell it, yeah, we want to use system configuration. And it'll add it up here for us. All right, that was step 4. Step 5 is to work with find product. So find product takes in a product code and it returns a product, or it returns null if nothing can be found. Add the code to get the product, that's step 5. And so the first thing we want to do is write our SQL statement. So I'm going to say string select statement is equal to, this is getting really good. And I didn't even do anything ahead of time, and it just knows what we want. But we want to, if you look at this, I don't have to type it out because autocomplete's going to do it. It's going to select these fields from products where the product code equals at product code. That's a query parameter that will replace later. And step 5 specifically says the select statement should include the product code, description, unit price, quantity on hand, and row version. So the row version is being used when we get to concurrency conflicts. So we want to open the connection, and then we want to build the command, and then we want to, we need to add the parameter, and then execute the command, and then read the data. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. So, opening the connection, I'm going to say using SQL connection, creating a new one based on that connection string, which is up here. building the command using SQL command, and that is correct. So we're running the SQL statement on that connection. Adding the parameter. So we have our command, and we need to take @product code in our SQL command and replace it with product code that is coming into this method. And the reason we do it this way, instead of, taking this like this, you could write your SQL statement just like this and not use a parameter. But if you do it this way, this product code, it could be used for SQL injection attacks. And when you add parameters like this, first of all, it's optimized, but it's also clean. So it helps prevent against attacks to your database. So we're using parameters like this. So now let's open that connection, and then we are going to execute the reader. Now, in this case, when we run execute reader, we know that this statement is going to, at most, contain one row. So I'm going to add to it a command behavior of single row. And interesting that this is not found. Let's see here. Yep, let's add this using system data as well. There we go. This way, I'm only getting one row back. I don't need to look for anything else. And then I also want to run command behavior close connection. So when we're done running this, go ahead and close the connection. And now finally, I can say if reader.read. So if we're able to read something back from this, so the product code exists, I'm going to say product equals new. And in this case, let me just review this here. Yeah, this actually looks really good. The only error here is this row version, and product does not contain row version. So let's go look at product. Where do we have product? Here we go. And yeah, product does include row version as an array of bytes, and this says it doesn't, but notice this V is capitalized, and in product that V is not capitalized. So we need to make the V lowercase. There we go. So if you are able to read data back from this select statement, make a new product and set these properties of the product. Otherwise, it failed, and the product should be set to null, but we started with the product as null. That's the default value. So we don't have to worry about an else statement here, and return the product. So if we look at the product maintenance form, and we look at get product, and this should be familiar to you from the last exercise that we did. We grab the product code, we try to find product. If it's null, show an error message, otherwise display product. Display product's already done for us. Great, so let's run this and see if we can get the product. They say PHP, we're learning C#. Why are we gonna get the PHP product? Let's try to get the C# product. C#. Give it a second. And there it is. So we actually ran this SQL statement, okay? Unlike before where our entity framework code, if I can find it, right? This is what we did last time, context.products.find. And this case, we're getting a little more nitty gritty. Find the right file. And we're actually writing the SQL code in here. All right, so step 6 was to test it, and we did that. Step 7, add code to add a product. So still in the data access class, add product. We're going to add code to add a product. Similarly, this is going to be step 7. We're going to write the SQL statement. What did I say before? Before here I said open the connection. This is more like create the connection because we're opening connection down here. All right, so create the SQL statement. Write the SQL statement, create the connection, create the command, add parameters, open the connection, execute the query, and check the result. So we're going to start with string. I'm going to call this insert statement is equal to insert products, and our table has product. Oh yeah, now I have to write everything. Product code, description, unit price, on hand, quantity. And notice the space here. All right, this is one line. I'm just breaking it up into multiple lines so we can see it a little bit better. And what we're putting in there are what values. And the values are really, the parameters are going to be the same names, but remember they're parameters, so we're going to put the at sign in front of it. Oops. All right, so now I'll create the connection. I'm going to say using SQL connection equals new connection string. Using SQL command is new insert statement connection. Add the parameters. So to our command, the parameters list, we're going to add with value, and we're going to start with product, make sure we spell it right, code is product.product code. Okay, and this is going to be like a similar pattern. So I hit Control D to duplicate that line. I'm going to do description, unit price, and quantity, on-hand quantity. And this I'm going to do a lot of copy paste just to prevent me from having any typos. Make sure there's no red squigglies there. That looks good. Now I can connection.open, and I'm going to execute the query. So command execute, and it's not a reader, it's a non-query, meaning we're running a command that doesn't give us a result from the database. It's not a select statement. Okay, so it's a non-query. And then check the result. Well, when we execute non-query, if we see here, let's see, it returns the number of rows affected. So the number of rows affected should be 1. So I'm going to say int rows affected equals command execute non-query. And then if rows affected, now they're saying it's greater than 0. Really, it should be equal to 1, but basically the same thing here. We need to then reload the product to put the row number into the row version. Let's see, do I say product open? Yep, this row version. Because when we inserted it, row version was empty. But now we need to figure out what that row version is. Okay, and this reload method we need to create. So I'm going to say yes, generate reload. It was generated right here. Clearly we don't want to throw a not implemented exception. What we want to do is get the current database values for this product. I'm going to say product current equals find product dot product code. So remember, this reload takes in the product that we just inserted. That's a product though, okay? And we're reloading this entire product. Part of that product is a product code. So we're going to run this find product on the product code to get whatever the current thing is. Now remember, find product could be null. So if current is equal to null, then this was deleted. Okay, otherwise, we have the current version of the product, And we're going to do this field by field. So product dot product code. And this one we probably don't need to do because the product code doesn't change. But description, unit price, on-hand quantity, and row version. All right, so let's test this. So I'm going to add a new product. There we go. That product code is ESN. So if I hit exit, run this again, and I search for ESN, there it is. So we were able to add a product. That got us through step 9. All right, step 10. We're going to work on updating a product. Be sure to include the row version in the update. So I wish I would have copied my comments here because the comments are so similar. This is step 10. I guess I'll just write it out again. We're going to write the SQL statement, build the connection, build the command, add parameters, execute the command, and check the results. All right, let's start with writing the SQL statement. So string update statement. Oh, and you know what? Before I do this, hang on, because I know that when we go to delete something, we're going to do the same thing. Just so I don't have to write out those comments again. Now, so our SQL statement is going to be update the products set. And what are we setting? We're going to set the description is equal to the new description. Let's make sure we spell these things right. Comma, and Control D, unit price is new unit price. Control D, on hand quantity equals new on hand quantity. Get rid of the comma there. And we're doing this where the product code is equal to product code and the row version is equal to row version. And remember, this little bit here is to make sure that nobody's updated this since we've loaded the product. Okay, this is like a version number. Every time the row gets updated, we get a new version number. So if I load the data, then you load the data, then you make an update, now the version number has changed in the database. And then if I go to make an update, it will fail because you have updated it since I did. And we're going to have an error get thrown. Okay, build the connection. Do we know how to do this? Using SQL connection. I've done this a couple times already. Connection equals new connection string. Build the command using SQL command. Is new update statement with the connection. Add parameters. Command dot parameters, add with value. What's the parameter name? New description. What's the value? It's going to be product dot description. So the product that comes into update product, we take the description and put it into the at new description parameter. And we have to do that. We have description, unit price, on-hand quantity, product code, row version. Okay, so we did that for every one of our parameters. And I'm able to select this very quickly just by double click, and it selects a word. Okay. double click. I don't want description. This is going to be unit price. Or if you're just using the keyboard like I'm going to do now, if I'm in the middle of a word, I can hold down Control. And if I hit left, it goes to the beginning of that word. Right goes to the end of that word. And while I'm holding down Control, I can also hold down Shift, and left will select the word. So now I can select something quickly and update it. Learn your keyboard shortcuts and make you a more efficient programmer. Oh, the one thing we forgot here was open the connection. Right, once we have everything ready, we open the connection. Might as well put that down there because I know I'm going to need it. Now execute the command. So command dot execute non-query, because this is not reading something. This is running an update, not a select. And we want to know how many rows were updated. So int updated rows equals. And now we want to check the results. So if updated rows is equal to 0, there was a problem. So like the update failed or something like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw a create concurrency exception. And if we look at that, it takes in a string and it's either deleted or updated. So in this case, we're dealing with updated. Now I'll tell you right now that the way that the book does this is they reload the product here, which we need to do anyway, because we need to get the freshest row version. And then what they do is their reload, if you recall what reload does, their reload will return deleted here or return updated here. I don't know if that's necessary. Maybe I'm going to regret this later, but my reload doesn't return anything. Okay, so get the freshest version. Now, if this returns 0, we can just say, all right, now I can't test this because of this connection.open here. Let's comment that out. And now I believe, yeah, step 13 is to test. By the way, so step 10 was all the update. So I'm going to look for ESN, that product that I added. There it is. I'm going to modify it. And now there's 101 of them. Exit. Run it again. ESN. 101. So look, I tested the on-hand quantity, right? So I know that that bit worked. But really for a real test, I should change everything. Okay, now I can see that it's working. Don't just test one field, test the whole thing. Okay, so you can probably guess where we're going next. Deleting a product. And I can tell you right now, we can uncomment that connection.open. Deleting a product, this is step 14. So let's write the SQL statement. String delete statement equals delete from products where product code is equal to product code and row version is equal to row version. So not only are we looking for this product's product code, we want to make sure that, I don't want it so that we both open the application, you update a product, and then I go and delete it. But I'm not deleting the current version of the product. I have old information. So I want to make sure that the information that I have is most up to date. All right, build a connection. Let's just start copying and pasting because I can copy these two at least. Build a connection, build the command. Build the connection, build the command. Only instead of update statement, we want to use delete statement. Add parameters. Well, I can tell you that these two are the same. Product code, row version. And we just want to make sure that this is row version all lowercase. That's row version all lowercase. All lowercase, yeah, we're good there. product code, the C is up capitalized, right? Because this could be like Big Bird, right? And then I'm going to replace Big Bird with the product code. This is a brand new variable name, so they have to be the same, all right? But especially for my students, well, everyone, you should use meaningful variable names. Big Bird is not a meaningful variable name. My students, you get graded on that too. So do not name that Big Bird. Let's keep it product code. Open the connection. Great, we did that. Execute the command. Command.execute non-query. And check the results. Well, again, if we're going to check the results, I need to know int deleted rows equals command non-query. Now here, if deleted rows is equal to 0, deleting failed. So we want to reload the product and then throw a concurrency exception that says, and remember this looks for two things, deleted or something else. I'm looking for deleted. And sorry, that should be in double quotes, not single. That's my PHP days coming back to me. So this is the way I would do it. I would not have reload return a string like the book does, because the method name reload does not indicate that you're getting back a string. Either that method name is bad or it should not be returning a string. I think it should not return a string. Okay, I think we can test this now. I'm going to run it. ESN, get product. There it is. Delete it. Do you want to delete it? Nope. Delete it. Do you want to delete it? Yes. ESN, get product. Not found. Exit. Run again. ESN, get product. Make sure our database is actually updated. Yep. Also, importantly, make sure we didn't delete everything. Okay, good. We didn't delete everything. Keep saving along the way. That got us through step 14, 15, 16. Okay, so now let's actually test these concurrency conflicts, meaning we both open the database. I load a product, you load the product, you make a change, save it back to the database. I go to make a change, and I'm not updating the current version of the product. So I'm going to get an error. And it's really hard to test that. So we're going to simulate the testing. So step 17, we'll jump to the end here. I'm still within the class, right? So I'm inside that last curly bracket. We're going to add a method named simulate concurrent update that receives a string parameter for the product code and doesn't return a value, so it's void. And within this method, we're going to write an update statement that sets the on-hand quantity to -1. So it's really similar to our update. So I'm going to take my update from write the SQL statement to execute the command. Copied that. Down here, I'm going to hit paste. But I'm going to change my statement here. I'm going to set on-hand quantity is equal to -1. That's it. Update product set on-hand quantity equals -1, where product code equals product code. Build the connection, build the command, add parameter, add the parameters. Well, the only thing we're changing is product code. That's the only parameter that we have. And we don't have product.product code. We just have product code. We didn't take our entire product in here. We just took the string, the product code property. Now, could I have, made this a parameter and added it down here? I could have, but this is a constant. This is always going to be -1. So it's slightly faster just to put it in up here. Execute non-query, and we don't care what it returns. So this was step, 17 and 18. Now step 19 is find the event handler for the click event of the modify button. And there's ways to do it. The easiest way, I think, is open up the form, double click on it. Here we go. This is where we're at. And then in the try block, add code that calls the simulate concurrent update method and passes it the value of the product code property of the product object. This method should be called just before update product. Okay, so update product is right there. This is going to be step 19. And we're going to run data simulate concurrent update. And what we're sending it to it is the selected product's product code. And remember, this simulate concurrent update will update the quantity to -1. And at the same time, in the database, it updates that row version. So then going back here, then we try to actually run the update product. And if we stopped our query right here, it would update and clobber over our data in the database. But because we're also checking the row version, it will stop. It will not update. So there will be 0 rows updated. And it will create a concurrency exception for being an update. And that will throw a data access exception that says another user has updated that record. Back here now, back to our product maintenance form, it tries to do that, and it's going to catch that data access exception, and it's going to handle it. So let's give it a shot. PHP, get product, modify, 2380. Another user's updated that record. These current database values will be displayed. And remember, our simulation meant that someone else updated the quantity to -1 before we were able to do it. All right, finally, stop the app. Go back to where you have your simulate and comment that out. So we're no longer simulating this error. Run it again. Look for PHP. Modify it. Update the quantity on hand. It's good. So there you go. That was exercise 21-1, update the product maintenance app from Murach C#, 8th edition.